kufatanye na banki nkuru y'u Rwanda ndetse n'abandi bafatanya bikorwa. Ndi Adam Squizera ariko ndi kumwe na mugenzi wanje Yego Gatete. Ni inama itangiye gutangizwa ku mugaragaro kuri uyu munsi, ariko ku munsi wa mbere hari ibiganiro byabaye bitandukanye by'umwihariko n'ibyabimburiwe no mu rwego rw'uburezi ariko bijyana n'ikoranabuhanga rikenerwa.
Nibyo nk'uko bivuze, iyi nama ku ikoranabuhanga mu by'imari ridaheza n'umwe cyangwa se daheza buri wese, aho buri wese abafitemo ijambo. Hari ibiganiro byabanje ku munsi wa mbere, ibyo biganiro birimo nk'icyo wari uvuze kivuga ku burezi, ariko hari n'ibyagarutse by'umwihariko ku bijyanye n'ishoramari. Rwanda, amahirwe y'ishoramari ari hano mu Rwanda. Inama yitabiriwe na Prudence Sebahizi, iyo ivuga ku burezi n'ikoranabuhanga yo yitabiriwe na Minisitiri w'Uburezi Joseph Nsengimana. Ibi byose rero bigasobanura yuko ni inama nini, inama yitewe n'abantu bagera ku 3,000 n'abantu benshi cyane, byunganira n'iri yabo mwaka ushize nayo yitabiriwe n'abangana nk'abo ngabo. Ni nayo imaze gufata isura cyangwa se imaze gufata irange hano mu Rwanda, ku buryo ubona ko amahanga yose bayitabiriye. Nk'ubu mu mugoroba nyuma y'ibyo biganiro dukomojeho, hari habaye ikindi kiganiro nanone cyabereye kuri Kigali Golf Hotel, aho habaye inama ivuga ngo ese ni gute Aziya, y'uburasirazuba bwa Aziya, amajyepfo y'uburasirazuba bwa Aziya, ubwo ni mu bice bya China, Thailand, bice nka Hong Kong, byafatanya n'u Rwanda kugira ngo iri shoramari rikomeze rijyaguke cyane cyane, ariko hibandwa mu buryo ikoranabuhanga ryakoreshwa mu guteza imbere ishoramari. Habe ishoramari, habe n'ikoranabuhanga. Ishoramari iyo risigaye n'ikoranabuhanga biragorana. Rero uyu munsi nabwo tugiye iyi nama twavuga ko aribwo igiye gutangizwa mu buryo buri official cyangwa se mu buryo bwa nyabwo. Izamara iminsi 3, yatangiye ejo, uyu munsi yabaye n'ejo, kandi izakomeza. Hari ibiganiro byinshi bitangira
ngira ngo Gatete twararikira abanyarwanda kuko muri akanya Minisitiri w'Intebe Dr. Justin Nsengiyumva ageze muri Kigali Convention Center, agiye gutangirizwa ku mugaragaro iyi nama ya Inclusive FinTech Forum 2026. Ni umuhango mugiye gukurikira kuri televiziyo Rwanda.
Thank you very much. And so allow me to begin. To the Right Honourable Prime Minister, the Honourable Minister of ICT in Rwanda, the Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, executives of the Global Finance Technology Network, GFTN, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, as they say in Rwanda, Murakaza Neza, bienvenue en Rwanda. Welcome to this beautiful city, Kigali, and this magnificent country, Rwanda, offering us the space to host the 3rd Inclusive FinTech Forum for 2026. My name is Lerato Mbele. It's a privilege to be with you here at this global gathering. I'm often referred to as a daughter of the soil, an honorary Rwandan. South Africa is where I come from, but this feels like home, and I hope that the hospitality I've received is the hospitality you receive, and soon you'll call this home as well. Last week, Multiples published a report introducing African unicorns. Their list was not exhaustive. It had 12 companies on it, and all of those companies were said to have valuations above $1 billion. 8 of those 12, approximately 7%, were FinTech companies. Now, whilst this is not the most comprehensive list of African unicorns, we did see it as an indicator, a barometer of sorts. an indicator of trends that in the future, high growth, high value, high impact companies are most likely going to be FinTech companies. Other data, and I'm sure you're all aware of it, suggests that FinTech is already beginning to drive change and remodel what we know as the industrial, financial, and trade architecture of African economies. So the opportunities are what we're going to explore at this third edition of the Inclusive FinTech Forum, as well as exchanging ideas as how to leverage the prevailing opportunities taking us into the future. And so once again, it's an exciting place to be. Welcome to the third edition of the Inclusive FinTech Forum 2026, and we're truly grateful to the government of Rwanda for receiving us, because as we know, Rwanda is a country that believes in preparing for the future today. Our theme for this year, Shaping the Future, Inclusive Finance, Innovation, Impact, Connection. And this theme really speaks to the realities on the ground. We recognize that 57% of the population here in Africa still do not have access to a bank account. It's said that 350 million people cannot access financial services, whether we're talking a basic deposit account, a savings account, a payment system, loans, or insurance. So something needs to be done to create that access. And this is why the word inclusion underpins the conversations we're going to be having here over the next 2 days. But also inclusion will be at the heart of the solutions that we're talking about, because sometimes those solutions will come from off the beaten track, places that are least expected. So please enjoy this third edition. As I said, if you are in need of translation services, there are headsets available for you. English will be on channel 1, French on channel 2. At this juncture, please may I recognize the dignitaries with us here today. May we recognize the Right Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Justin Nsegiyumva, an economist, a teacher, and a former central banker himself. His career has been dedicated to establishing knowledge and knowledge systems, creating that economic access we're talking about, and of course improving regulation. And so it's truly an honor to have you here, Prime Minister, because your presence just really gives credence to the issues we're bringing to the fore. So thank you for your time, Honorable Prime Minister. May I also recognize the co-patron of this forum, the Honorable Paula Ingabire, the Rwandan Minister of ICT and Innovation. She's well known across the world, and her work has really offered an invaluable support for the coming together of this IFF 2026. And we know, broadly speaking, her ministry and her work have given so many incredible platforms for builders, innovators, and really to integrate tech advancements into how e-governance and just the system works in this country. And Rwanda's been really held up as a model to emulate. And so thank you for your efforts and for your support, Honorable Paula Ingabire. We're also joined by Madam Soraya Munyanya Hakuziarimye, the Governor of the Bank of Rwanda, the first woman ever to be the head of the central bank in Rwanda. So talk about glass ceilings being shattered and inclusion, she embodies it. Her career has spanned business and commercial banking internationally, mainly in Europe, and she was recently appointed chair of the Alliance for Financial Inclusion. And so for everything that you are, it's quite appropriate and fitting to have you here, Madam Governor. Hortense Mudendje is the CEO of the Kigali International Financial Center, our patron at this Inclusive FinTech Forum. And really, she's got a heavy task on her, not just together with the Ministry of ICT and partners at GFTN to bring this together, but really to transform Rwanda into a leading financial center and a gateway, one of the gateways for investments into Africa, and to really create that bridge between the financial communities of Asia and Africa. And so we wish you well, and we thank you for bringing us all together to converge, CEO of the Kigali International Financial Center. May we also recognize Sopnendu Mohanty, the Group Chief Executive of the Global Finance and Technology Network, otherwise known as GFTN, an organization that has been able to bring together policymakers, academics, and innovators globally, and through their efforts, really try to cultivate what we call a sustainable, inclusive financial system. And it's because of you that we are also all here together, this global community in Kigali. So thank you, GFTN. And may we appreciate the support of Afrexim Bank, represented today by the Executive Vice President, Hatem El Mayergi. And what we know of the Afrexim Bank is this Cairo-based multilateral development bank has offered so much technical support to African governments. They've been so instrumental and deliberate in building digital infrastructure, and it's really because of them that we're able to breathe life into what was once a dream, the AfCFTA, or the African Continental Free Trade Area. They also have many platforms to support young innovators and creatives such as Comex, and you see them in fashion and film. So across the spectrum, from hard industrial infrastructure to the creative economies to the new trade protocols, Afrexim Bank, thank you. And so with those acknowledgements, let us remember why we're here today. We're here shaping the future of inclusive finance, innovation, making an impact, building connections. Let's watch this video to reiterate the theme.
Today, 2/3 of adults worldwide make digital payments. In Africa alone, more than 1,300 FinTech forums are reshaping how millions save, borrow, insure, and invest.
This time, financial systems are going through a new phase. Artificial intelligence is becoming the foundation of financial services. Digital assets, digital currency are becoming mainstream. We are seeing a lot of trade flows from Africa on stablecoins.
Yet behind this momentum lies a bigger question. Why are millions of SMEs, women, and young entrepreneurs still locked out of affordable capital?
Today, 1.4 billion people remain excluded from the formal financial system because of high costs, limited infrastructure, and outdated regulations that keep entire communities locked out of economic opportunity. Women, rural populations, and small businesses bear the greatest burden.
With these systemic gaps, what will we do differently? Together, starting today. This is why the Inclusive FinTech Forum has become critical. 3 years ago, this bold idea took root in Kigali. IFF set out to bridge two of the world's fastest-moving FinTech corridors, Africa and Asia. And from dialogues, cross-border action followed, and a transformation is underway. IFF has strengthened regulatory cooperation with initiatives like the launch of the next-gen digital public infrastructure, a partnership between the Bank of Ghana, National Bank of Rwanda, GFTN, and PAPSS. Advanced the FinTech ecosystem integration through the signing of strategic MOUs between key ecosystem players such as the Kigali International Financial Center, the Africa FinTech Network, and Jersey Finance. Deepened institutional engagement across markets from over 80 countries. And that bridge now leads us to the next phase of inclusive finance.
We are going to focus on three things: the digital market infrastructure, interoperability of the systems, be it payment, be it digital currency, be it digital asset, and lastly, regulatory framework, which will help us to shape the future of finance.
This edition is anchored around 4 defining anchor themes: building Africa's digital currency corridors, from CBDCs to cross-border commerce, AI-powered financial inclusion, innovation, scaling smart solutions across emerging markets, open finance ecosystems, connecting Africa's fintech future to global markets, climate fintech, financing Africa's green future. Yet, the urgency behind these themes is clear. Together, they represent decisions that will determine how innovation scales, how capital flows, and how inclusion deepens across emerging economies over the next decades. The defining moment is whether we are asking and answering the right questions. How can financial systems serve everyone, not only the connected? How can regulation enable innovation while protecting trust? How can technology scale inclusion, not just within nations, but across continents? How can the collaboration between Africa and Asia accelerate a more inclusive global financial system? These are not questions for the future. They're questions for this room. Questions for you.
Your voice matters. Your ideas belong here. Together, we're co-designing solutions for billions. Whether you're building, funding, or regulating the next generation of financial technology, join us to connect, collaborate, and shape tomorrow.
Welcome to the Inclusive FinTech Forum.
And as you can see, a challenge has been posed to you to answer some of those pressing questions at this third edition. I'd like to also recognize today the Minister of ICT from Zambia, the Honorable Felix Motati. Thank you so much for being with us here today, sir, and welcome to Rwanda. And of course, how can we talk inclusive fintech without the Honorable Minister of Finance for Rwanda, Yusuf Murangwa? Thank you so much for your time, Honorable. And I think that's an important segue. When we look at the caliber of people in the room, we realize we've got builders, of fintech solutions and backbones. We have regulators and policymakers, and we have financiers. And it's that triage that really should start to lead to credible, tangible solutions. And it's all happening in Kigali. Now, without further ado, let us get into the agenda of the day. We're going to begin with the opening remarks delivered by the Chief Executive of the Kigali International Financial Center, Hortense Mudenge.
Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, Honorable Minister of ICT and Innovation, Honorable Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Executive Vice President, Afreximbank, Group Chief Executive Officer, Global Finance and Technology Network, distinguished ministers, central bank governors, leaders from the financial sector, innovators, investors, partners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I must say it's very great to see you this morning, and it's a great honor to welcome you to the Inclusive FinTech Forum 2026. This year's theme is shaping the future of inclusive finance, particularly innovation, impact, and connection. Across the continent, fintech innovation is reshaping how people save, how people invest, transact, and build businesses. Mobile payments have transformed access to finance. Digital platforms are expanding opportunities for entrepreneurs and emerging technologies, and most of all, redefining financial services. But the next chapter is not about innovation. It's about building systems that work. This year's forum focuses on 4 key priorities, shaping the future of finance. and that is building Africa's digital currency corridor, advancing AI-powered financial inclusion, strengthening open finance ecosystems, and mobilizing innovation through climate fintech solutions. Together, these priorities reflect a simple but a powerful idea. Financial innovation must translate into real economic opportunity for people, for businesses, and for nations. The Inclusive FinTech Forum reflects the power of partnership. It's built through collaboration between the Kigali International Financial Center, the National Bank of Rwanda, the Global Finance and Technology Network, and our Ministry of ICT and Innovation, and most importantly, alongside a growing ecosystem of partners committed to advancing inclusive finance. IFF this year has brought together 3,606 delegates from over 60 countries, and cutting across government, regulators, industry, investors, innovators, founders, and not forgetting academia and young professionals. Rwanda is known globally as a proof of concept country. Now, to me, these numbers signal that a concept has been proven, and that is, this conference is pertinent and timely, and this success is a true testament of the power of partnership. Beyond the numbers, though, what truly matters is the spirit of collaboration in this room. Where capital meets opportunity, innovation aligns with regulation, and ambition grows through partnership to shape the future of financial systems, not only in Rwanda, but for Africa and beyond. This week, we will explore how digital public infrastructure can support economic growth, how capital can flow more efficiently across borders, and how innovation can unlock opportunities for millions of people who remain underserved by traditional financial systems. Rwanda has the frameworks that allow for capital to flow efficiently, transparently, and responsibly, and we are happy to host this international FinTech Forum today. So ladies and gentlemen, let's use this moment not only to discuss about the future, but to build it together. I wish you all a productive and inspiring forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to the CEO of the Kigali International Financial Center. We're now going to listen to partner remarks because, as we heard, collaboration, partnership, it matters, and the regulator's role is really important. Please welcome warmly the Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, Governor Sureya Hakuzyaremye.
Right Honorable Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, Honorable Ministers, Executive Vice President of the Afreximbank, Honorable Chair of the Association of African Central Banks and Governor of the Bank of Central African States, fellow central bank governors, deputy governors, Group CEO of the Global Finance and Technology Network, GFTN, CEO of the Kigali International Financial Center, financial sector leaders, founders and innovators, distinguished guests, a very good morning to you all. It is an honor and privilege for me to welcome you to the 2026 Inclusive FinTech Forum. And for the third time, this forum offers a platform for leadership and innovation at a defining moment for Africa's digital and financial future. Allow me to begin by expressing our sincere gratitude to our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Prime Minister, for gracing us with his presence. To our esteemed international guests, we warmly welcome you to Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills and 14 million smiles. To KIFC and GFTN, thank you for co-organizing this important forum with us, the National Bank of Rwanda, by bringing together policymakers, regulators, investors, and innovators. You are helping to turn good ideas into scalable solutions. Right Honorable Prime Minister, allow me to express our deep gratitude to our leadership, His Excellency President Paul Kagame, for the support to the Inclusive FinTech Forum since its inception in 2023. His Excellency, the President's leadership and steadfast commitment to Rwanda's digital and economic transformation continue to inspire confidence in our nation's future and send a strong signal that inclusion and innovation are not side projects, but national priorities. The theme of this opening plenary, Leadership for Africa's Digital, Financial, and Economic Transformation, is a timely reminder of profound change in the global and continental financial system. Digital currencies, instant payments, artificial intelligence, tokenization, and quantum computing are no longer distant concepts. They are present realities, reshaping how we transact, invest, regulate, and expand financial services across the globe. In short, the future of finance is already here. The question is whether our financial systems and institutions are prepared for the next wave of innovation. Global statistics tell a powerful story. Over 75% of adults now have access to a financial account, up from just 50% a decade ago. Sub-Saharan Africa remains the global leader in mobile money, with more than 600 million registered accounts, while digital payments continue to grow at double-digit rates. This is proof that when technology meets the right policy environment, financial inclusion can leapfrog decades of traditional development. And in Rwanda, we have made remarkable strides in financial inclusion, from a financial inclusion rate of 21% in 2008 to now 92% of adults having a bank account or mobile money wallet. But these are not just statistics. They represent farmers, traders, women, and youth whose financial well-being has improved. But we know that more needs to be done to achieve financial health and resilience for households and enterprises. And this is what the National Financial Inclusion Roadmap 2026-2030, which was launched yesterday, aims to achieve. Right Honorable Prime Minister, distinguished guests, if we are to fully harness virtual assets and CBDCs, strengthen interoperable cross-border payment infrastructures, and leverage AI to offer tailored, affordable, secure, and fast financial services, stronger regulatory alignment across African markets will be essential. Yesterday, during the Central Bank Governors Roundtable on regulatory positioning for the next digital economy, there was consensus on the sense of urgency for deeper collaboration between financial regulators to share knowledge and to strike the right balance between innovation, monetary sovereignty, and financial stability. Moreover, it is clear that constant engagements with the FinTech community will accelerate inclusive financial innovation. No single institution, no single country can do this alone, and the partnerships we will build during this Inclusive FinTech Forum will determine the scale of tomorrow's impact. Together we can shape an African financial system that is inclusive by design, innovative in execution, and global in ambition. A financial system where every African woman and man has the tools to participate in the digital economy, where every promising idea has a pathway to scale, and where finance becomes a true engine of shared prosperity. And the National Bank of Rwanda will continue to support this vision. I thank you all for your kind attention.
Thank you, Madam Governor, for reminding us that statistics are actually people with names and faces, with identities, with aspirations. They are traders, they are entrepreneurs, they are farmers, and this is why we do what we do and for whom we are doing it for. We now are going to have special remarks as I invite the Executive Vice President of Afreximbank, Mr. Haitham El Mayergi, to join us now.
Good morning. Your Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda, honorable ministers, Governor of the National Bank of Rwanda, distinguished leaders of and CEO of Kigali International Financial Center, and esteemed partners from FinTechs, communities, DFIs, private investors, export credit agencies, and captain of industries, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the government of Rwanda for hosting this vital forum, for organizing such an inclusive FinTech forum, and thank you for convening the distinguished community that we see here. We're here because we share a conviction that inclusive finance is not just a social good, but it's a very engine of Africa's future. And it's only fitting that we meet here. Rwanda has demonstrated remarkable leadership in positioning itself as a forward-looking hub for financial innovation. Kigali is not just a city of hills, it's a city of horizons, a place where the digital future of the continent is being designed in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, Africa stands at a decisive crossroad, and we are celebrating the progress, but we must confront a sobering reality. Africa's digital gap is rapidly becoming a competitive gap. Globally, 25% of trade is already conducted through digital processes. In Africa, this figure sits at merely 5%. Our financial system remains fragmented, causing cross-border payments to cost up 3 times the global average. We're still tethered to the manual trade processes and disconnected platforms where our SMEs, the heartbeat of our economy, suffocate under a trade finance gap of estimated $120 billion. Yet, there is fragmentation, but there is an extraordinary structural opportunity. Through the AFCFTA, we're now connected 1.3 billion people into a $3.4 trillion market, and by 2050, 1 in 4 people on Earth will be African. This is only a blessing should our population get the right education and are entrenched in the digital future. Otherwise, this could be a curse. Under sustainable integration, our economy should expand tenfold. And to unlock this, digital transformation must be our backbone. Consider the impact of this emerging technology. The artificial intelligence alone can slash document processing by 80%, reduce errors by 90%. IR-driven logistics can cut trade costs by 15%. And the ecosystem that we see, the digital ecosystems, can bring 80% of our population into formal financial system. But let us be clear, digital transformation cannot thrive in thin air. It requires hard foundation, broadband, data centers, reliable energy. It requires soft foundation, harmonized policies, and the implementation of the AFCFTA trade protocol, the digital trade protocol. And without these, our innovation will remain trapped within borders. So how do we finance this? Governments cannot do it alone, and we need a coalition of capital. Sovereign and pension funds must pivot towards long-term digital infrastructure. DFIs must act as a market maker for bankable projects. And private capital must be provided for the scale and execution that it needs to be. And at Afreximbank, we're not just financing trade. We're building the digital rails that makes Africa trade possible. Through Africa Trade Gateway, what we call ATG, we are developed a continent-wide digital ecosystem that allow African business to find partners, build trust, and access trade intelligence. and connect to financing. And through PAPS, our revolutionary system for cross-border local currency payments, they can settle their trade in their national currencies. Our goal is simple: to reduce the friction that has historically made trade across African borders slow, expensive, risky, and replace it with a trusted digital environment where African businesses can discover opportunities and transact with confidence. We're seeing the results as fintechs in different countries now bring their solution to the market. From Nigerian SMEs that adopted an e-commerce boosting, seeing their exports grow by 30%, to Egypt slashing their custom clearance time by half through artificial intelligence. All these platforms are designed as rails for African fintech to plug into, thereby exporting solutions continent-wide and beyond through the infrastructures that we're building, whether in payments or in e-commerce. And Afrexim Bank is committed to supporting Africa's and Rwanda's digital transformation and innovation agenda as it advances through knowledge-based economy and growing fintech, AI, startup ecosystem, similar to the support we've been giving through countries' economic transformations and hundreds of millions supporting other key sectors, including energy, financial institutions, healthcare, infrastructure. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, I would like to leave you with 3 messages. First, digital is the new physical. It is the 21st century. A digital payment rail is as essential as a paved road. Without it, trade stands still. 2, integration is non-negotiable. We must move from digital islands to digital continents. No one country can do it alone. 3, the time for pilot projects is over. We must scale now. So Kigali is uniquely positioned to lead this charge. With Kigali's International Financial Center, the city has created a proof of concept for Africa. You have the regulatory clarity, political will, infrastructure to solve the control tower of the African fintech. Africa digital transformation is not just a technology story, it's a foundation for a new era of sovereignty, prosperity. So let us capture this opportunity here in Kigali and build the integrated Africa we deserve. Thank you.
Very much to you, the Executive Vice President of Afrexim Bank, and reminding us that development finance institutions invest in the core infrastructure that becomes the artery for innovation. Thank you for those words. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for our keynote address to be delivered by our guest of honor, the Right Honorable Justin Nsengimva, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Rwanda. Please can we welcome him.
Maramutse. I can see that everyone now is feeling home in Kigali, and that's very good. Distinguished guests, inclusive FinTech Forum partners, leaders from government and industry, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to Rwanda for the 3rd Inclusive FinTech Forum. We are honored to host you in Kigali to advance an important global mission, the mission of building a financial system that leaves no one behind. Allow me to begin by thanking the Kigali International Financial Center, the Global Finance and Technology Network, and the National Bank of Rwanda for convening this important platform. I recognize the enduring partnership between Rwanda and Singapore, which has made this event possible, and we look forward to continuing to deepen this collaboration in the years ahead. Distinguished guests, this forum comes at a defining moment for Africa and indeed for the world. The financial and economic order many of us have known in our lifetimes is undergoing profound and undeniable changes. For Africa, which has long stood at the margins of this system while relying on it for development financing and access to global markets, this moment presents both uncertainty and opportunity. Because Africa has historically existed at the periphery of global finance, often facing inflated risk premiums and limited access to capital, we also have much to gain from rethinking how financial systems are designed and how capital flows in this new era. We stand at the frontier of many economic opportunities. Global supply chains are shifting, opening the door for new manufacturing and industrial partnerships. At the same time, rapidly expanding digital technologies are allowing African entrepreneurs to leapfrog legacy infrastructure, an opportunity many are already seizing, particularly in the FinTech sector, now the leading segment of Africa's startup ecosystem. The opportunity for Africa to become a cradle of global business and innovation is real. The foundation of this transformation will be robust and inclusive financial systems capable of mobilizing capital towards the continent's most pressing priorities, including energy, digital infrastructure, manufacturing, and human capital development. In this regard, FinTech has a critical role to play. It expands access to finance, lowers transaction costs, and enables millions of people and businesses to participate fully in the formal economy. Distinguished guests, in this new era, questions around digital sovereignty, resilient payment architectures, and credible data governance are no longer merely technical matters. They are strategic priorities that will determine our resilience, competitiveness, and our economic independence in an evolving global financial order. Rwanda has embraced this responsibility with determination. Over the past 2 decades, we have made deliberate investment in digital transformation as a foundation for long-term competitiveness, achieving near universal 4G population coverage across the country. Public services have been digitized through platforms such as Irembo, improving efficiency, transparency, and citizen access. Electronic transactions increasingly dominate retail payments, strengthening financial inclusion and formal economic participation. Today, 92% of adults in Rwanda have access to financial services, reflecting the steady growth of our FinTech ecosystem. Through digital innovation, a farmer in a rural village can receive payments instantly. A young entrepreneur can access credit through a mobile device. A small business can connect to global markets from anywhere in the world. Yet, we recognize that our work is far from complete. Inclusive FinTech is not just about innovation, it is about equity, trust, and shared prosperity. Our priority now is to create an even more enabling environment for innovation and investment. These include strengthening investor protection frameworks and expanding regulatory sandbox capacity for FinTech and other emerging technologies. Among our recent milestones is the forthcoming law on virtual asset businesses, which will unlock new avenues for responsible growth while providing regulatory certainty for investors and consumers. Distinguished guests, as we look ahead, we must also remain clear-eyed about the challenges that persist across much of our continent. Access to affordable capital remains limited. Cross-border payments are still costly and slow, and regulatory fragmentation continues to raise transaction risks and cost of doing business. But these constraints do not define Africa's future. African innovators continue to demonstrate that solutions that are developed here, from mobile payments to digital identity systems, can not only solve local challenges, but also they can shape global financial systems. At the same time, Africa cannot and should not attempt to build financial sovereignty on rails it does not control. Instruments such as the AFCFTA digital protocol, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, and the AU's data governance frameworks. They are not bureaucratic services. They are the foundation of our financial independence and must be implemented and funded with urgency. As I conclude, to the investors and innovators gathered here today, please allow me to reaffirm that Rwanda stands ready to partner with you to unlock the extraordinary opportunities before us. Together, we can build a dynamic, secure, and inclusive financial ecosystem that's capable of supporting Africa's next chapter of growth and innovation. So I thank you all. I thank, once again, those who organized and convened this event, and I wish you all fruitful deliberations. I thank you.
Thank you for iterating your commitment and reminding us of mutual and collective responsibilities, and also just the aspiration that the next frontier is here, and we can create it, co-create it, and collaborate to make it come to life. Thank you for your kind words, Right Honourable Prime Minister Justin Nsengiyumva. Now we're going to have a panel discussion moderated by myself. It's titled Digital Transformation and Private Investment, Building the Foundations of Africa's Next Economic Era. So we believe we're on the precipice of something great, but how do we get there? How do we jettison to it? So how do we build the foundations to that next economic era? Because we've got a lot of bankers and financiers here, numbers, men and women, let me give you a number. It is projected that by the year 2028, so in 2 years' time, it is projected that the FinTech sector in Africa will reach $47 billion in revenue, just in the next 2 years. The drivers, as the Right Honourable Prime Minister has reminded us, young people, tech-savvy, curious, and actually they just want a full suite of options on their devices. They will build those solutions, not just apps, but the systems themselves. And we're already seeing this, particularly in a lot of the ecosystems, Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa, Nigeria. It's already happening. And their solutions have been transformative in terms of how we live and transact and interact. Everybody talks about the breakthrough M-Pesa, but now we've got Yoko, we've got MTN Momo, Airtel Money, and just last week, Right Honourable, I discovered AfriIX. I was trying to buy clothes in West Africa. That is how I could pay from where I live. And it's all sorted, and now we're just waiting for the consignment. And I think just that alone doesn't just show you a solution, but it shows you the connection. The regional integration that was referred to earlier on is if it's easy to transact, to pay, it connects you as a Rwandan business owner to a market in South Africa, South Africans to new opportunities in Kigali, Ghana, Nigeria, you name it. And that is the Africa that we want. And it can be facilitated by FinTech. And so without further ado, let us answer the question, what needs to be done to build the digital transformation, private investment, and the foundations of Africa's next economic era? Please welcome our panelists, Dr. James Mwangi, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Equity Group Holdings. Mary Ellen Iskandarian, the President and Chief Executive Officer of Women's World Banking. Collaboration already. And Serene Diom, the Chief Executive Officer of MTN's FinTech Group. Thank you so much for your time and coming to share your insights, and welcome to Kigali. I think we'll just start off easy, and I think we're anticipating this future. We're looking at how to build the next era. So in your view, I'll start with you, Mr. Mwangi. What does the future look like for financial services? Because up until now, leaders such as yourself have provided those services in a very traditional framework, in a brick and mortar bank with branches. But we're moving on from there.
Thank you very much. The future of financial services will completely be different from the brick and mortar infrastructure that has delivered so this much. We know we came from ledger cards and passbooks. Then we came to where we are. We are now going through another major transformation, how people access financial services. And that future will be technology-led, And we all know that we have talked of the fourth industrial revolution. And that is what we are going through. And if you look, it is purely technology-led. But it's not the apps that we are all used to. Yeah. It's the underlying infrastructure that power those apps that is essential. So when we look at it from Equity Group, we see investment in digital public infrastructure will be the core infrastructure on which then the IDs and identities and KYCs that we do will now be on digital ID. It's no longer the passports, physical passports. The process will be validated digitally. It's no longer, you don't need to come to the branch to open an account. In addition to that, when it comes to service, it will no longer be about inclusion. It will be about daily relevant. Is financial services daily relevant in the lives of the people?
Yes.
The lives of a farmer, the lives of an SME. Is finance a facilitator and an enabler? So it will be more of soft infrastructure, that's what finance will be. But it will not happen then unless we create the enabling layers on top of digital financial services. We have talked of one. The second one will be standards. Honorable late Prime Minister has just said that it will be not enterprise system, it will not be country systems, it will be worldwide systems that are interconnected, but that which we have control over. So we must invest if we have to have control over. So regulators must put the standards on which these infrastructures must be put in. And that is what combination of that and the ID, which then tells me as a banker that the person before in front of me is who they say they are. That is the most important thing. So trust is created instantly because I'm able to validate digitally. But then the standards on which all we are doing, because systems will be interconnected. We're talking of systems that are interoperable. How do I take the counterparty risk of a system that I'm connecting to, if that system, I don't know whether that system has followed standards. So that assurance will be necessary. And lastly, it's the issue of the consumer or the citizens. Can we create a digital wallet, which is a citizen wallet, not an Equity Bank wallet? If the wallet is owned by the customer themselves, so that they have the freedom to connect their wallet to whoever service they want to consume. That is the future of finance. Thank you.
I know we should be allowing our fellow panelists to enter the conversation, but I just have one little cheeky question. Are banks part of the future of finance?
It's a pertinent question whether banks will be part of the future of finance. But what is certain is financial services will be required. Who will provide financial services is what is debated. And whether it will be the FinTechs, whether it will be the big techs, because essentially, let's look at mobile loans. The bulk of mobile loans are not provided by banks, but it's a financial service. So I think that future will need to be shaped not only by by technology, but the regulator must come in so that we are all protecting the consumer.
Okay. We've heard a lot about public digital infrastructure being the backbone. And also Mr. Mwangi, Mary Ellen says, because it's not just know your customer, it's make sure that somebody in a rural community can transact without incurring additional costs, travel time, etc. And a lot of those people are women, your constituency. So what does the future look like for those who previously have not been included?
So it's not much of a surprise that I would agree so closely with Dr. Mwangi. He's been a longtime partner of Women's World Banking, but perhaps I can just build a little bit more on his remarks. I would go so far as to say that the future that is so palpable in this room, that was talked about in all of the introductory remarks, the introductory video, your opening statement, will not be possible if we don't see all of this technological excitement and all of this technological infrastructure, including the rails that Dr. Mwangi referred to, leading directly to economic benefits, economic gains to the people in Africa. And as you say, Africa has the highest percentage of women entrepreneurs of anywhere in the world. 58% of self-employed people are women entrepreneurs across Africa. And yet, again, as the introductory video mentioned, their access to credit has barely budged, even in this period of time that we've seen such technological advance. And I'd go so far as to say that's because the way that banks, and frankly, even some of the fintechs, make loans isn't in the 21st century. It's still really relying on maybe even 19th century outdated ways of thinking about collateral that women don't own, never did own, in many cases are not, unfortunately, still permitted to own. And so we have incredible data that's going across those rails. Why isn't that data being incorporated into credit scoring modules? Why isn't what we know about the way women transact, the way rural people transact, how their businesses are actually structured, how come that data isn't being incorporated into the way we think about who is bankable, who receives that golden opportunity of unlocking capital?
So I guess then the question is, FinTech can build the system, but where the regulators come in and where innovation also comes in is the products. What kinds of products sit on these platforms to create the inclusion? So where can that collaboration come in from the policy point of view? The regulator needs to make sure the systems have integrity and are safe. And then we have to make sure that the citizens, all of them, those women, those young people, access. What would you suggest or recommend that they do?
For me? Okay, I thought we were moving on. Well, I certainly think something as simple as we've seen in the last few years, tremendous forward progress in the range of credit guarantees, for example. We now have credit guarantees available to many, many entrepreneurs, many businesses, both small and large, so that banks can move forward with lending. And yet, we're still really hung up in many of the countries where these guarantees are made available, in that the bank doesn't get a relief from the capital charge on that loan. They are still struggling with that same regulation. It's a technical point, it's a minor point. The central bankers in the room know what I'm talking about. But it's a fundamental gap between a very strong policy implementation we've seen in many of the countries that Women's World Banking works outside of Africa. Huge employment gains unlocked merely by the provision of a credit guarantee on top of a loan, but only if it really allows that lender to take advantage of the guarantee.
That's a good example. It's illuminating.
If I may jump with your permission, I think building that future will require massive collaboration. The sovereigns must be lead the initiative because it's public infrastructure. It's for the benefit of every citizen. But innovators, creators must come with the products and services that the market requires or the consumer requires. But then that consumer must be protected by regulators, because it is the private capital that will come and build on this public infrastructure the layer of products that people require and bring the diversity. I see digital public infrastructure as the new roads, railways, and airports and ports that we had in the future as enablers of economic development. The modern economy will be built on digital public infrastructure.
Let's bring Serene into the conversation now. I remember a time where the mobile phone was just that. Call your mother and tell her where you are. Now, that's my whole life. If I lose my phone, I've lost everything. My identity, my bank accounts, my ability to pay, everything. And so telcos have evolved in the most incredible way in this fintech wave. In many ways, some would say you're the enablers thereof. So tell us about the building blocks and then what comes next, the next frontier, the next phase.
Thank you very much, and good morning, everyone. And so I think we need to, first of all, acknowledge what we have done and what exists. And I think Africa has done so well in terms of innovation. To today, I think as governor introduced, saying that today we have more than 90% of people in Rwanda who have an account can transact financially. And to get to that, it was built using partnership. So you need to remember that when we started this mobile money business, we didn't have licenses. We ride it on the licenses of banks, and to be able to build what we build. It's recently that we have our own licenses. And also, if you look at Africa, we have more than $1 trillion US transaction as going through mobile money. And that means that financial inclusion is a reality today. And if you look at, you walk in streets in Rwanda or you go to a market, you will realize that everyone pays using a wallet. So I would say mobile money, but or Airtel money. So everyone transacts using that. And you go to France, you go to everywhere, people are still using cash. Transactions are cash-based. You go to the US, people are still using checks. So we need to acknowledge that we have done well. We have innovated, and we are far away from a lot of communities supposed to be most advanced ones.
Yeah.
So now, looking at the future and looking ahead, I think we, first of all, for the future, the most important is how to build digital infrastructure with the right governance. And the infrastructure for the future is no more building roads and getting trains or transport. Is to see how we can get the right infrastructure that we can ride, and we need to build the layers, and that start with connectivity to continue to be built strongly, and to build rails on interoperability. So interoperability is very important to make sure that one was telling to me that when you travel from one country to another country, you can use your bank card to pay.
Yeah.
But you should be able to use your mobile money account from Zambia to Rwanda, from Rwanda to Zambia, not only to send to someone, but when you come, you transact in the same country using your original wallet. So interoperability is something which is very important. The second one I would like to talk about is around creating wealth for our people. So as I explained, we did well on including people financially to be able to transact, but that is not enough. No one is aspiring to be able to have a mobile phone and to make a payment. So it should be how we can make sure that every single African is financially independent. And for that, you need to allow them, when someone has an idea to create a company, should be able to take a loan to be able to finance the capital for that company. And then you need to continue the education for that same person to be able to save and not to depend anymore on a loan and to become financially independent. And that you could see that that person has now his own dignity because he is independent financially and he can survive. And then you need to introduce services like insurance so that if anything happens, the person doesn't need to restart again. So for me, this is the way to go. And to summarize, financial inclusion is not enough. We need to create wealth for our people so that they can become financially independent.
Right, diverse economies. I want to start kind of winding down the conversation, but Serene, just from what you're saying, there's so much that's happening by way of innovation at the founder level. Maybe that IP is picked up, or there's an M&A from a telco, or a bank acquires. We can see a lot of that kind of M&A activity. A lot is happening in the private sector, I guess is what I'm trying to say. How do we bring that momentum, because there's momentum, and I think the word that was used by the Minister of ICT is co-create, so that governments are really integrating a lot of these strategies into their national development planning. What advice or suggestion would you make for regulators and policymakers sitting here saying so much is happening and it's moving too quickly, but we also want to make sure that we are supporting and not suffocating the ecosystem? What would you say?
So first of all, I will start by commending the work that the government of Rwanda has been doing in terms of financial inclusion, because to get to where we are today in Rwanda, what you're asking for has been done by the government of Rwanda. So the difference is that in every single country you go today, people have objective vision on financial inclusion. So Rwanda has the same, but they're making it happening. So, and how they do that is that they support all actors to be able to, for example, all services, public services have been digitalized, and in terms of policies, the central bank is very avant-gardist on putting policies together. So I think if every single African country does the same, we'll have a better Africa when it's come to financial inclusion. But to answer to your question, I think what is important is partnership. So, and as MTN Mobile Money, we consider ourselves as a platform. That means that we don't want to do everything alone. So what we are trying to do today is to become an enabler for everyone. So what does it mean? Is that every single person who has an idea, we can help you to transform that idea to a service and help you to transform that service for you to have a company and to be able to serve customers that we have through our platform. So this is what if I just step back and look at, for example, as MTN, we're in 14 countries, but do you know how many partners we have connected to our platform? 70,000.
Wow.
So that means that the services we are providing to people are not services only that we design, but we co-create with people, and we have a platform we call Open API, where you have your idea, you can start working on your idea, connect to us without any human intervention, and make it a service that our customers can access to.
All right, I've got one round of questions left, and this is investment opportunities. You talk about creating wealth. Let those founders, be able to develop their ideas, build companies, employ other people, create champions and legacy businesses, right? That's what we're talking about here. Where are those investable opportunities right now, James Mwangi, for people who are sitting in this room right now saying, yeah, they're great ideas, but what is bankable, scalable, what can be executed now?
I think the biggest opportunity there is financing development. And I see the private sector leading in financing development, because that's what really we need so that we create inclusive economy. What I see is the opportunity of governments recognizing that there is a lot of money in the private sector, and structure development projects to be bankable so that the private sector can fund them and earn a return, but benefits and enable entire populations to be able to engage in economic activities.
Marianne? Again, I'd go back to, you've got entrepreneurs that are ready, willing, able to grow, but lacking that critical capital to be unlocked. So I would say that would be where I'd start, and then building the ecosystem for youth entrepreneurs to graduate from university, from secondary school, and maybe there isn't a job for them to move into, but the entrepreneurial opportunity to be there and the promise of capital at the ready.
Sorry?
Yes, I feel that we have a lot of foundations that are already here. So I would say there is enough capital around. There is also a lot of structures today that are supporting those entrepreneurs to build their companies. And what we need to reinforce is like companies like us to facilitate the access, because most of those people who are creating need to ride on a platform to get access to a wider community of customers. So we need to encourage them and to put together the environment for them to be able to connect to us, to get access to customers, and that is what makes the difference between small companies and companies that scale, because, for example, whoever integrates to us has access to 70 million customers the first day. So this is, I think, where we need to orient people so that they can ride on existing platforms to be able to get access to customers, and companies like us who have grown already needs to support those new incomers to scale.
I want to thank you for your insights and really just giving us all food for thought where the innovation lies. We need to really put at the center public infrastructure, because that will then create momentum for FinTech, and then look at opportunities just beyond our own small geographies. Look at countries already doing it, like Rwanda, that are models to emulate. But just before I close off this conversation, Dr. James Mwangi, apparently you would like to use this platform to tell us something.
I think, and this is a challenge that we would like to throw to all of you. We all have agreed that the future is changing. And the question is, how well have you prepared for that future? You asked me a very complex question, whether banks will be necessary in the future. And we have started questioning that ourselves. Will we have a future if we remain the bank? And if you look, what we have done is started to transform ourselves at the intersection of entrepreneurship.
Group Holdings, Mary Ellen Iskandarian, President and Chief Executive Officer of the Women's World Banking, and Serene Diom, Chief Executive Officer for MTN FinTech Group. These were just tidbits, but I hope it's given you all food for thought as we get into the agenda of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've looked at future scenarios, investing in digital assets, regulation is needed, partnership is needed, but at the core, it's the public infrastructure that's going to give us all a better kind of foundation of building FinTech, when we can all integrate digital IDs and interoperable payment systems and data systems, and then the future is available to all of us. So thank you so much for lending your expertise. So with that, we've come to the end of this morning's opening session, where we've officially launched and opened the third edition of the Inclusive FinTech Forum. It wouldn't have been possible without the dignitaries here with us today. So we really want to once again reiterate our gratitude to all who've been with us this morning, and of course to the Right Honourable Prime Minister for taking the time within your busy schedule to be here and support this process of building for the future. At this juncture, may I request that we allow the Prime Minister and his team to take their leave. Also, as the Prime Minister takes his leave, there are dignitaries who have been invited to share the platform for a portrait picture. You know who you are. Please also exit alongside the Right Honourable Prime Minister, and if everybody else could just stay in the room, and then I will tell you what happens next. Could we allow the Right Honourable Prime Minister and the dignitaries, please, to take their leave?
Minisitiri w'Intebe Dr Justin Nsengiyumva amaze gutangiza ku mugaragaro inama ya Inclusive FinTech, ni inama y'ikoranabuhanga ridaheza mu rwego rw'imari ibaye ku nshuro ya gatatu mu Rwanda. Mu ijambo rye Minisitiri w'Intebe yagaragaje ko kuri ubu u Rwanda hari intambwe rumaze gutera, cyane ko 92% by'abaturage bafite imyaka y'ubukure kuri ubu bashaka kugera kuri serivisi z'imari, ndetse aha yagaragaje ko nyinshi muri serivisi z'ikoranabuhanga hano mu Rwanda zimaze gushyirwa no ku rubuga Irembo, bifasha abaturage kuba nabo bagera kuri iryo koranabuhanga ridaheza uwo ari we wese. Gatete
yagaragaje yuko u Rwanda rutanga amahirwe, rwahereye by'umwihariko mu gushyira imbaraga mu guteza imbere ikoranabuhanga mu nzego za leta, ahereye nko ku rwego rw'Irembo. Yongeye agaruka ku mahirwe ahari by'umwihariko ku rwego rw'isoko rya Afurika ruzwi nka SFTA cyangwa se Africa Continental Free Trade Area. Agaragaza yuko uhereye kuri ibyo ngibyo Afurika bishobora ko yahura ikaba umugabane ucuruzanya, ukorana, imari igasangirwa n'abanyafurika bose. Ayo mahirwe rero yose agaragaza, yavuze yuko u Rwanda ruzakomeza gushyiramo imbaraga ruri ku mikorere ya leta kugira ngo rubashe no gufasha n'abikorera nabo babashe kugira aho bava naho bagera, cyane cyane mu gukorana, kuko amahirwe Afurika ifite ari menshi.
Yego nibyo Gatete, kandi mu biganiro byatangiwe muri iyi nama harimo n'abagiye bafata ijambo, harimo nka Hortense Mudenge, umuyobozi wa Kigali International Finance Center, wagaragaje ko hari aho u Rwanda rugeze muri ku guteza imbere ikoranabuhanga by'umwihariko mu rwego rw'imari ndetse na serivisi zijyanye narwo, ndetse na guverineri wa banki nkuru y'u Rwanda Soraya Hakuziyaremye nawe yagaragaje ko kuri ubu ngubu igikenewe ari politiki n'ingamba by'umwihariko ku bihugu byo ku mugabane wa Afurika mu guteza imbere iryo koranabuhanga, ndetse bakanaryigisha mu mashuri. Ahangaha hagaragazwaga by'umwihariko uruhare rw'uburezi. Gatete
yavuze yuko gukorana mu nzego zose atari amahitamo, ahubwo ari bwo buryo bwonyine bushoboka kugira ngo iri terambere tuvuga rya Afurika rishoboke, umugabane wasigaye inyuma. Ariko ikoranabuhanga ni rwo rufunguzo rukumbi rwatuma tuva ahangaha tukagera ahandi ku ntambwe n'abandi bagezeho. Ati ibintu bakoze mu myaka 200 ishize ntabwo tuzategeza mu myaka 200. Ikoranabuhanga niyo nzira yonyine ishobora gutuma dushyikira abo bandi, uko uyu munsi turi gukora nayo yongera komoza ku ruhare rw'imikoranire hagati y'u Rwanda ndetse na Afurika ndetse n'igice cya Aziya, nk'abantu bari gushyira imbaraga cyane mu ikoranabuhanga.
Yego, ihererekanywa ry'amafaranga hifashishijwe uburyo bwa telefone ngendanwa nabyo biri mu byagarutsweho by'umwihariko mu kiganiro kimaze gutangwa na bamwe mu bitabiriye iyi nama, aho bagaragaje ko kuri ubu Afurika harayigeze cyane ko kuri ubu ngubu nk'umuhinzi cyangwa umworozi w'iyo epfo mu cyaro ashobora kuba yakoherezanya na mugenzi we cyangwa se akaba yagira uwo yohereza amafaranga bidasabye ko akora urugendo. Ni inama y'iminsi 3 isozwa kuri uyu wa kane tariki 12 Werurwe 2026, naho ibijyanye n'inama byose muzakomeza mu bikurikirane kuri televiziyo Rwanda. General Adams Kwizera na mugenzi wanjye
Gatete Rafiki,
naho ibiganiro bya televiziyo Rwanda byo birakomeza.